Hi guys, welcome back to the Desk Corner. Welcome to a new video, of course, and as you can probably tell just by looking at my desk here, this intro is going to be a bit hectic. So, short backstory here, you guys. I have not filmed anything yet this week, even though we are sitting here midweek, but even though I thought that everything was fine and I am already adjusted to my new schedule and everything going on in my life right now, apparently that is not so the case. And at least you're only getting the view of my desk right now and not the mess that is the rest of my life. So I decided today that I wouldn't be able to just sit here and focus on some meticulous, detailed artwork and talk about all the technical stuff, the technicalities and everything. And so I decided to instead do something a little bit different that will also be really fun, hopefully for you guys as well as for me, which I will explain in a moment. But before we get to that, I just wanted to show you guys because I've been doing a lot of artwork lately that I haven't exactly finished on camera. This one I consider finished from my last video. If you haven't seen that, you can check that out if you want to know how I did that artwork. And I had this more sketchy one, which I was thinking about adding something to. I haven't done that yet. But for those of you guys that have seen my unboxing of the Museum Aquarelle watercolor pencils, you probably remember this artwork if you got that far into the video. And I actually worked on it a little bit more, and you might not be able to tell, but there is a little more going on here with the water than previously. So I consider this one closer to done at this point. I might still work on it a little bit more. So this is how this one's looking so far. I had some issues with the water because reflections are hard. But again, the main purpose of this painting was to show off a lot of the color range of the Museum Aquarelle pencils and not just use a couple colors. So I guess I succeeded in that. And then quite a while ago, I was reviewing or comparing Arch's hot pressed versus cold pressed watercolor paper, and I never exactly finished this painting, and I had a really light layer here, so I actually went ahead and added another light layer on top for this mountain, and it still looks a little bit light, but it looks better than it did before. I think I did something else too. I think one layer here as well, just to darken that up and make it a little less transparent and make the painting look a little bit more finished. So I know this one has just been sitting in my folder for like months at this point now. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these away. Some of these need to go in the portfolio and some of them are going to stay in this red folder for now. I'm gonna show you guys what my idea for today was. So I have had this little like set of oil pastels since I was a teenager, very young, and these are just very basic student quality oil pastels, and a lot of people probably recognize this brand and this packaging because you might have used these at school or in some kind of art class or something like that. These are very like common and inexpensive, and I just have this 25 set here. Hopefully all the colors are there and I didn't lose any. It looks like they're all here. And you guys can see like this tin is so old, you can even see the dirt on it here. Like I've had this forever and I just never use it. I've used it before in the past, I think, so long ago that I can't even remember what I did with it. So I thought, wouldn't it be fun? I'm gonna first swatch these out and then try and do some kind of artwork with these just for fun, just for kicks. And then you guys can tell me if you think it's worth it based on my artwork and how this process goes for me to try out an artist quality set of oil pastels. And if so, which ones you might recommend. I know the Senlier one is popular and there's a couple others. So I guess we can just dive into the world of oil pastels today, even though we're just using this basic student quality set. Okay, I had to cut that intro at some point because it was getting too long. But the first thing I decided to do was reorder the pastels because they weren't really in the correct order, or they weren't in an order that made any sense. So I decided to reorder them so that my swatch wouldn't be a complete mess. And as you can see, I'm kind of starting from a very like peach tone to the yellows, oranges, reds, pinks, purples, blues, greens, and then we go into our neutrals. And this was 25 colors, so it was a fairly like decent sized set. And I'm just going to start swatching. Now, one thing I didn't anticipate was how dirty these were going to be, so I actually had to like rub them off on a piece of paper as well a bit. For some of these, especially the yellows, you could see how dirty they were, And I mean, I couldn't really avoid this. Even in the artwork that I eventually do, you will see that there was a lot of mess, and it's just hard to avoid because the colors stick, and when you layer, you're going to end up with a messy crayon, basically. So I used the back of a random piece of paper to kind of clean it off, and you could see the color range here. It's a pretty decent color range. I don't really have any complaints about this. I do wish maybe there was a different toned purple in here. That would have been nice, but for the most part, we have a lot of good colors here, and I was able to make do since oil pastels are easy to kind of mix and make new colors with, and all the colors that I needed for the piece that I was going to do were present, or I was able to easily, I guess, blend them, if that makes sense. So there is my swatch chart. Oh my gosh, it's already such a mess. This is like a precursor to what's about to happen. And surprise, it's the Scream! So I've always wanted to recreate some of the Masters artwork on my channel and never kind of got around to it. This is a painting by, I think, Edvard Munch from like 1893. I don't know too much about it. I haven't taken many art history courses, but of course many of you know this is a very famous painting, so obviously I'm taking no credit whatsoever for this, and this is not original in any way, shape, or form. I just thought it would be fun to try and recreate something like this, and I've seen other artists do this before as well. Thought it would be plenty of fun. So what do you guys think of this idea of recreating the Masters artwork, or doing like a series like this and doing this every once in a while on my channel? Because I think that this was really fun for me actually, and kind of a way to explore different techniques and be more of like a student of art, which I didn't take many art courses in like college or even high school or anything. So it's actually quite fun to look at a very famous artwork or painting like this and try to recreate it. But anyways, I should probably talk a little bit about how the oil pastel part of this went. And as I was working here on the sky, I started to notice how annoying it was that the pastels would get so dirty so easily, and also crumbs were very sticky, so they would stick to the paper, and if I tried to remove them, it would be very hard to remove them because they would just smudge out and create like streaks if I tried. So I almost just ended up giving up and letting the crumbs just sit there on the paper. It's hard. You have to go in and like individually pick them off with your fingers basically. And then I worked on the water here. This part was quite fun. I ended up using the black with one of the darker blues, and I don't think these colors are labeled at all either, but honestly it doesn't matter. It's pretty self-explanatory. I decided to make more like an indigo blue because I felt like this piece needed some contrast, and I didn't have a dark enough blue, so luckily it was fairly easy to darken up using black. I also cheated and used my Faber-Castell Polychromos pencil for a couple of the details, like the two boats and the two people in the background, because it was just way too awfully difficult to try and do that with a pastel, considering I was working on a smaller cut down sized paper. So hopefully you guys can forgive me for that, but there was really no other way to do that part, and I didn't want to end up with just a blob if I had used the black pastel to try and create those figures and silhouettes in the background. So the fence was a little bit difficult just because I had to make sure it looked straight enough, and I was using these very blunt pastels. For those of you that have used artist quality pastels, I'm very curious to know if the qualities are very much different, and I guess I would consider trying an artist quality pastel, but my experience with this particular piece was a little bit tricky, and I'm not sure I actually would want to shell out the money to try artist quality pastels just because of how frustrating and messy that they actually proved to be. And I always would preach about soft pastels being messy, which is true, they're so powdery, but the powder is much easier to clean up than the sticky, waxy mess that you get with these, I have to say. I did lots of adjusting on the fence area as well. And then for this kind of like bridge area, or I guess it's like a pier sort of, I decided I would mute everything out with the white because there was kind of this muted look in the original painting. I kind of just filled the whole page, even though I had to just extend the bottom and the top in order to do so, but it was such a small painting that I felt that that was okay, even though the original was cut off a little bit more than this. And obviously I'm saving the figure in the front for last. Not just because it's the most anticipated part, but also because I was afraid it was going to be very difficult, because I was using these pastels to try and create detail, and I didn't want to end up with a big blob. I might also totally be blending wrong. Do you guys prefer to blend with like your finger or anything like a Q-tip? Because I didn't really try that. I was attempting to just use the pastels themselves to blend. Here you will watch me struggling with the face, which was probably the hardest part here. I even cheated a bit with my pencil and still was not completely satisfied with the result, but what are you going to do? That's about it for today's video. I have finished the drawing, I think. I don't know. It doesn't feel finished to me, but I just don't want to work on it anymore because I know it's going to frustrate me. So here is my version of the scream. The face is just a little bit messed up, but honestly, that is okay. And I think that I did a fairly, decent job for somebody that doesn't ever use oil pastel. And some of these details were hard to get in with the oil pastel, of course, because of how you're not able to get too many levels of detail. But overall, you guys, I did have fun doing this. I'm not entirely convinced that I actually want to go on and buy an actual like artist quality set of these, which is probably going to be quite expensive because I'm not quite sure I love working with pastel. You can even see how messy they are and how easy it is to smear if you just kind of brush across the paper or you try to get rid of crumbs. So there are some crumbs stuck to this because I'm too afraid to get rid of them and smear my drawing. But if you guys have tried artist quality oil pastels, let me know if there's a difference there because I've never tried them before. For now though, I think I'm going to put away my set of oil pastels and maybe not take it out for a long time again. That being said though, I did have fun creating this drawing for today's video. And if you guys would like to see more videos where I create or recreate some of the master's paintings, but yeah, you guys, again, thanks for watching as always. I hope that you enjoyed today's video and this drawing process, and I will see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy this type of content and if you'd like to see more from my channel. Okay, thanks for watching again. Bye, guys. Oh my goodness, would you look at that mess? I don't know how long it's going to take for me to scrub this. I've got a wet paper towel and hopefully that will eventually do the trick, but it's not looking too hopeful, you guys. Oh my goodness.